Republicans unfairly using fear as a tactic to defeat President Obama and the Democratic agenda. According to documents obtained by Politico.com, the fundraising arm of the Republican National Committee did a PowerPoint presentation recently outlining the RNC's money-raising tactics. The presentation included portrayals of President Obama as the Joker from Batman with the word socialism underneath. Nancy Pelosi and Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid are depicted as Cruella de Vil and Scooby-Doo. The presentation argued that since Republicans don't have control of the White House or Congress, the GOP should use fear to make its case. And that brings us to today's Schuster Showdown. Shootout at the OK Corral. That's pretty good. The showdown today: should somebody at the RNC be fired over their PowerPoint presentation? RNC Chairman Michael Steele is trying to distance himself from this incident. His communications director, Doug High, issued this statement. The document was used for a fundraising presentation. Chairman Steele did not attend, nor had he seen the document. Obviously, the chairman disagrees with the language and finds the use of such imagery to be unacceptable. It will not be used by the Republican National Committee in any capacity in the future. Nonetheless, should Steele go a step further and fire Rob Bickhart, the RNC finance chair who made the presentation? Joining us are liberal radio talk show host Leslie Marshall and conservative radio talk show host Ben Ferguson. Ben, let's start with you. The RNC chair says this was unacceptable. Why not fire the fundraising head who did this?
Well, I think it's unacceptable. I think the picture shouldn't have been used, but I don't know if it should be off with the guy's head. He did this internally with some donors. He wanted to see something. I think he was trying to be, if anything, a little bit funnier, say, hey, we got to fight back here. I just don't know if it's, you know, every time something like this happens, we always say, oh, they should be fired, they should be fired. Both sides make dumb decisions. We've seen that throughout campaigns. We've seen the posters. We've heard the stuff behind the scenes. I mean, how many people have referred to the Tea Party people as teabaggers, and no one gets fired over that either? So, you know, I think we got to take it with a little bit of grain of salt.
Right, but I'm not sure the comparison between the teabaggers and the way President Obama has been repeatedly depicted is an equal comparison. But liberal radio talk show host Leslie Marshall, your take.
Well, you know, obviously, people need to have personal responsibility, and I find it funny that the right-wing conservatives are constantly using that phrase, personal responsibility, personal responsibility. Where's the personal responsibility in this? This was disrespectful. This is the President of the United States of America. Agree or disagree, it's not funny to be so disrespectful, you know, and it kills me
Leslie,
that constantly, yes, fear.
But Ben,
I agree. This is yet another
At what point does the Republican Party take responsibility? I mean, this has happened over and over. We've seen these posters all over the place. At what point, instead of just saying, oh, we disagree with this, at what point will the RNC say, you know what, enough, we're going to take action to make sure this doesn't happen again?
I think you look at what Michael Steele said, and I think he said enough is enough here. And I think the reality is, if the person worked for me and my organization, would I fire them? Yes, I would fire them. Do I think that the chairman of the RNC is going to do that? I don't know, because I'm not Michael Steele. I know that Michael Steele would not be okay with this. Well, do I think he should do it? If I was in charge of the RNC, if I was in charge of RNC, would I say, hey, it's time for you to go? Yeah, I would. That's me personally. But I think at the same time, you got to look at the bigger picture here. And their job was, look, we're going to raise money. I don't think the picture. I think it was a dumb 8th grade move, to be honest with you.
Well, and Leslie, on the other side, I mean, what's wrong with people being dumb or making fun however they want? It's their party. They can raise money however they want.
Well, there is certainly a First Amendment that applies to both sides, and I love our Constitution. But there is also constantly from the right talk about respecting the office of the presidency. We know if this had been George W. Bush, believe me, the DNC, everybody would have been fired. And Michael Steele, if he says he has, he needs to take responsibility.
Leslie, if you want to talk about double standards, do you remember the famous bumper sticker that said F the president and W the president? Nobody at the DNC denounced that, and that was given out at many conventions where DNC people came
up with that. That wasn't the head of the finance chair that came up with it either. That was a fringe group, and we're talking about an official with the Republican Party who put this forward. In any case, Leslie Marshall and Ben Ferguson, thank you both so much for coming on today. We appreciate it as always.